Been lit, boy. Everything goes.
We now return you to regular programming.
All right, what is up, guys? Today on the podcast, we have joining us Yankees minor league hitting coach Casey Dykes. Casey, how are you doing today?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Driving through some rain right now. Headed up to Worcester, Massachusetts. Ready for another week of baseball, man. Got a series up there, a 7-game series. We got a doubleheader and a makeup on Wednesday, so we got 7 games up there in 6 days. So it'll be a good week.
Well, Casey, we're excited to have you on. We're an educational podcast where we actually educate ourselves. We've been blessed with a lot of athletes on. How has it been this year traveling as far as baseball and with COVID and everything kind of like opening up again?
Man, it's been great. It's been great. You know, we haven't had any issues. It's been awesome to see fans in the stands. The 6-game series, I've actually enjoyed across minor league baseball. And I think, you know, talking to a lot of the players and coaches seems to be the trend where guys are enjoying it just because you get to, you know, you kind of get to make somewhere else your home for a full week rather than feeling like you get there and next thing you know, you're, you know, on a flight or on a bus headed to the next spot. So it's been a neat change. And then obviously, you know, when you got fans in the seats and you're getting to play in some good environments like we've been able to so far this year, it just brings back, you know, what it used to be. You know, it feels like normal, you know, the normal that we were used to and not kind of the new normal that 2020 showed us. So
Yeah, it's definitely nice. Now, before we get into, you know, your team and everything you're doing, obviously today is the home run derby in MLB. And as a hitting coach that you are, you see a lot of hitters opt out, like Aaron Judge, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and just some of these big guys. Now, do you personally think a home run derby, you know, affects someone's swing? Because sometimes you see these guys, they go in the home run derby, and they kind of slump when they come back after the All-Star break.
No, I don't think so. You know, I think a lot of these guys, like if you go watch a big league BP, shoot, man, a lot of them are home run derbies.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of those guys are out there and they're competing with each other and they're, you know, trying to put a show on for the fans. I think more and more today you see guys shy away from on-field BP, you know, every day where I think it used to be, you know, everybody's taking BP every day on the field. So you don't see the guys do it quite as much, but, you know, as far as the swing goes, you know, the guys who are in there, in those home run derbies, a lot of times mentally they're trying to do damage every time they take a swing. So, you know, I don't really think so. You know, maybe there's, you know, some superstition to it or just they want to do it when the location's, in a place where they want to go or, I think there's probably a lot more factors into it other than those guys, which are, you know, some of the best hitters in the world, worrying about a few rounds of BP, you know, turning their season in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Now, Casey, I'm old school. I grew up with like Wade Boggs, you know, guys like Kirby Puckett, Tony Gwynn, you know, the guys that gave you a lot of hits, high batting average, RBIs, less strikeouts. Are you a big fan of today's baseball where you see a lot more of power hitting and more strikeouts?
You know, I like good hitting, whatever that is. I like run production, whatever that looks like. You know, I think obviously baseball numbers-wise has definitely changed. I think a lot of it is good. I think a lot of it isn't so good. I'm a huge believer that you don't have to sacrifice contact for power. I think you can do both, and ideally, you know, that's what we're trying to do. And that's what the best hitters are still doing. You know, the best hitters are still – you know, they're walking, if they're striking out, they're not striking out, you know, to these extremes where it's extremely above average.
Yeah.
And they're able to hit for power. And when I say hit for power, I just mean hit the ball hard consistently. A lot of those are home runs, but a lot of times it's, you know, doubles, triples, it's hard singles, it's using the whole field. You know, I like that. Like that's my style. Is guys that control the strike zone. And they make contact, and when they do make contact, they hit the ball hard, and they hit the ball hard all over the field. You know, so that's for me what good hitting looks like.
I love that. Now, as you as a coach, what do you do to grow your knowledge in the game to train these young athletes? Like, how are you studying? Like, are you studying film every single day, or like what? How do you teach yourself to teach these athletes?
A lot of times I'm learning from them. Especially at this level, at the AAA level, where I'm at right now, you got a lot of guys that have been playing this game for a long time and have had success at the highest of levels. And they're fighting to get back to the big leagues, or you have guys who are high prospects who are, still haven't made their debut. And, I think a lot of times it's just asking questions to those guys, asking questions and trying to listen and learn. A lot of it is outside education, whether that's reaching out to coaches, to players, to guys in different fields, whether it's strength and conditioning or performance science or whatever it is, where you're just constantly trying to learn. For me, I know you guys have experienced, from talking to other football coaches. Like I'm a football guy at heart, and a lot of coaching is just leading, and a lot of that I've learned in my past from football coaches and from coaches I've had. And so really trying to venture down, a lot of different paths and just really gain as much knowledge as I can, because, you just deal with so many players that come from different walks of life, have different backgrounds, have learned in a lot of different ways. And so the more knowledgeable you can be about more things, I think the more people you can help. And that's all that's all I'm trying to do is do my best to help these guys, maximize their potential as individuals.
Now, Casey, how hard is it being a coach down in the minor leagues? I mean, because let's face it, you're not guaranteed the same team every year. Players go up, players come down, players move around. Is it more like, I don't want to say you don't like connect with these players, but do you just look at it as like it's a business and whoever's in front of you, that's how you deal with it? Or do you
connect with relationships?
Yeah, do you connect with these guys like on a real personal basis and things like that?
Yeah, I try to. Just because, that's number one for me is helping them, not just as baseball players, but helping them grow as men. As a lot of these guys are fathers. I'm a father. A lot of these guys are husbands. I'm a husband. A lot of these guys aren't there yet, but they're going to be one day. And baseball itself is going to end at some point. And usually it's going to be before these guys are ready for it to end. That's what happens to most athletes in all sports. And I think the more that you can connect and you can build that relationship to earn their trust and to have an influence on them, the more likely they are when they are struggling in the game itself, the more likely they are to listen, and be open to things that may help them. And then now you have an area where you can step in and you can help them on the field too. So I think if you just make, on the field a priority and that's all you care about is just their performance, you don't care about anything else, I think you're missing the big picture.
I like that. I like that a lot.
And what's really going on, especially in a place like AAA baseball that can be it can be a tough place at times.
Absolutely.
You can feel like you're, kind of like you're lost, like your career's, is it going in the right way? Is it not? Because you're so close, but you're not there. And I think that can be a tough place for guys. So it's a great opportunity to really pour into them and help them get through those tough times and see the big picture.
Definitely.
Now we're fans of the evil umpire. We're huge Yankee fans, and one of the things that let's face it, we're fans. We sit at home, we complain when the Yankees aren't doing well, and we always wondered why. Like, guys get sent up, and guys, they'll come up and they'll do great, but then all of a sudden they had to get sent back down to the minors. Can you help us understand a little bit about, as far as the rules go for these players, as far as being up for a certain amount of time, then having to go down, and vice versa?
Or even the process of like a guy in AAA that's dominating, and like you're wondering why he's not called up yet.
Yeah, if I had all the answers, for that, I would tell you, and I probably wouldn't be in the position, I'm in. A lot of that stuff is out of their control. It's out of my control. I'm not going to sit here and say I understand it all. I understand it enough. But there's just so many intricacies to it, with contracts and deadlines and things like that. Players having opt-outs, players becoming free agents, players that haven't reached a certain amount of service time. You just have all these different things that are going into those decisions. It's not always strictly on performance. And then I think also you look too, there is a lot of performance metrics and the analytics and things that go behind it that maybe are deeper than what everybody sees just on the basis.
Absolutely.
If they're up down guys that are fringe guys that that a lot of people say, oh man, he's doing great in AAA, we want to have him up. It's like, well, his role, maybe on the big league team would be in a certain area, and in that certain area, maybe, he's not doing better than what that current guy's doing at the big league level.
That's true.
So there's just a whole lot of different things that go into that. And honestly, I can't explain it all. But it's way more confusing than it looks. As I'm sure you guys probably know.
Yeah.
In that case, when I did my research on you, I've seen that like a lot of teams that you coach or players that you specifically coach, they tend to do a lot better with your help, and I could see that you know what you're doing as a coach, and it's amazing to see. Now, if you had to give one piece of advice to young athletes, maybe high school kids or even young adults, as far as stepping in the plate or hitting, what's something you would give them?
I think first and foremost is just making the most of the moment itself. I think a lot of times, especially young athletes, but really, all athletes, as they're trying to make it. I think it's a lot easier kind of once you've signed the big contract, or once you've made it to the big leagues and you're there and you have a spot. I think a lot of times guys get caught in, like, what do I have to do tomorrow, or what's going to happen 2 weeks from now, or yesterday, they get caught up on yesterday's results, and then it affects the current day.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is just immersing yourself in the moment and in the process on a daily basis, and whether that's the work you're putting in, if you are on the lineup or if you're not, or if it's in that current at bat and that current pitch, and just maximizing that. The more you can maximize those moments, the more you can look back and you can say, I did everything I could to have success.
Yeah.
And you can live with that. But you start getting lost, you start getting distracted, you start worrying about things that are out of your control. Next thing you know, a week, 2 weeks have went by, and you've just given away at bats, you've given away days, you haven't made yourself, the best possible person you can be. Because you've been worried about other things that are out of your control.
Yeah.
And I think it's easier said than done. The concept of it seems easy, but anybody, who's done anything in life, when they start to look back, it's like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. I wish I could have done that more in this area, that area. And,
Yeah.
I do that myself too. And it's a constant reminder for me, whether it's being a coach or being a dad or a husband, whatever, just trying to maximize each day and each moment I get. So I just have no regrets.
That's why I love
moving
baseball
forward.
too. You can, learn a lot about life too in baseball.
No doubt. It's as similar to life as any sport. And honestly, that's what's really drawn me to it on the coaching end, is and wanting to continue this career path, getting into this career path. A lot of it was that, like I was able to relate so much of my life to baseball. Once my career was over in baseball, that I was like, man, I want to make sure that, a lot of these guys don't make the same mistakes I did. And that's kind of what drives me on the coaching end.
Now, Casey, I coach baseball locally here for 20 years, and now Ty's he's taken over and he's coaching now. And
Okay.
and going through coaching, I used to notice like guys on third base would be like screaming all these different like, do this, do that, choke up, do that. I've never ever got into that during the game. I was always like reminding them of the count, tough with two, none of that stuff. Right. As far as the pro athletes go, and your coaching that you're doing, do you just sit there and you like document each at bat, what pitches they are looking at or what they did, or do you actually when they come in get in their ear and chirp with them about what they did or what they should work on?
No, I try to definitely stay away, especially the mechanic side. Like once the game starts, we're not, 99% of the time, we're not talking about mechanics in the dugout, or anything, because just that internal focus, I think, takes away from the most important part of the game, which is just competing in the moment, having a plan, going and executing that. And whether that was the right plan or the wrong plan, that's probably where most of our discussions come from is, hey, what were you thinking on this pitch, or where's your head at here? And just trying to get some knowledge from them. So that I can give them a slight cue or give them something before they go on deck, maybe to help lock them into a certain approach or a certain mindset. So it's more of that. It's more of really small cues. A lot of them are individualized, things that I know guys like thinking or things that maybe help them, and kind of keeping track of those, keeping note of those, and giving them those, maybe before they go step on the on-deck circle, while they're in the dugout looking at a report or whatnot. But from the mechanical side, man, I try to stay away from a lot of that talk.
Yeah.
Especially during games.
Yeah,
because I think it just gets you distracted.
I like that.
I mean, overall, how does it feel to be a coach with the New York Yankees?
Incredible.
A lot of history.
You're talking about one of the best franchises, sports franchises in all of sports, not just baseball.
Yeah.
Across the world, not just across the U.S. And it was a lot of why I got into coaching in professional baseball. To be honest with you, I was coaching in college and I was on a good career path and had some success. Was around a lot of good players and a lot of good coaches, continually learning and growing and watching guys, move on to professional baseball and, winning some games, some championships and things like that. And at the time when I got the call from the Yankees, coaching in professional baseball wasn't on my radar.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest with you, I was perfectly content with what I was doing. And it's one of those things, like when the Yankees call, it's like, well, of course I'm going to listen to this.
Yeah.
To have a chance to be a part of that, it's a no-brainer, and it ended up working out great. And my time with the Yankees has surpassed any expectations I had getting into the organization. Just the people I've been around, the people I've been exposed to since I've been here, it's been incredible for me.
That's amazing, man. God opened some amazing doors in our life. But
Absolutely.
Now, for some young athletes, again, just listen to this podcast. If you had to pick an MLB player right now, maybe even two, that you could say that's a guy that you want to watch, take some film study on, that he's got the right mechanics, he's hitting the ball well. When I was really young, Miguel Cabrera, Triple Crown, that was the guy to watch.
Yeah.
But if you had to pick one now, who would you pick?
Two that stand out from an offensive side are Mike Trout and Juan Soto. Those two, there's a righty and a lefty that, I think what they do offensively is, right up the alley for what I believe in from a production standpoint and then from a mechanic standpoint too. I think those two guys are really good examples. There's a lot of guys on our big league club that would fall into that category of guys that, when we're watching video, when we're, showing guys, we just use a lot of guys in our big league club. You're talking about some of the best hitters in baseball and, but those two, Soto and Trout, man, are
good
are
players.
two that I really like offensively.
Now, I got to ask you, Casey, you're not that old of a guy. How intimidating is it when some of these veteran players come down to the minors to do a rehab session? Is there anybody that you're afraid to talk to? I mean, do they respect you because you're so young?
Definitely nobody I'm afraid to talk to. As far as respect, I would think so. I wouldn't know any different if they don't. It seems like it's went really well, and yeah, I am. I'm 31. I feel like, what I've done and huge parts of who I've been around, players and coaches, have set me up to be in this position. So it's not like this position was handed to me. I've had to work for, everything I've got in the coaching profession, just like the players have had to work for everything they've gotten, playing wise. So when those guys come to me, it's I know I have all the respect in the world for them, and it's my job to show them that and try to find an avenue to help them when I get the opportunity. And with a lot of these guys, they're so good that the best thing I can do is stay out of their way, and make sure that they got what they need and help them when they have questions, ask them questions, learn from them. And I think the more that you show that you're you're there to help them, the more open they are to listening and the more respect they have. I don't have, it's not about me, and that's the biggest thing. I think when you get into coaching, I think especially young coaches as they get in, it's so much about like, what can I do right now to help them? How can I put my name on this guy and help him? And it's like the more you think about that, the less respect players are going to have for you.
Yeah.
Because they see right through that.
Now I have a question, and I'm not going to mention any names. I mean, I just don't want to do that because there's friends of ours too that they worship this player. But how difficult is it when, like up in the major leagues for the Yankees, you have a hitting coach up there that's actually working with a player a certain way, and then they go play baseball in the Dominican Republic, and then they come back and their whole batting stance has changed, like totally different. Does it get frustrating?
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, I think if you're not communicating, then I could see where maybe that could get frustrating. But I think the key is just communication and finding out, where these players train in the off season, who their private hitting coaches are, connecting with those private hitting coaches if you need to. At the minimum, finding out and learning what these hitting coaches are trying to do with them and why. And that way, when they have questions, you're understanding like, hey, okay, like he likes this cue to get him to do this. Like when he thinks of the bat path, he uses these words because this is what he uses all off season. Mm-hmm. And the more knowledgeable you are about what they're trying to do and why, I think the more you can help them and you avoid this like, this fight of, well, I want you to do it this way and he wants you to do it that way. And it's like, no, like, let's collaborate, like, let's find out what you're trying to do and let's communicate. And then let's see, okay, like if it's working, number one, great, like, let's keep it going. Yeah. And if it's not working, like maybe let's start asking some questions and figure out, maybe do we need to do something a little bit different? And, I think if you avoid the communication piece of it all, now you just have a whole group of people that are frustrated. The player's frustrated that you won't listen to him. He's frustrated that you're telling him something different than his private hitting coach. The private hitting coach is frustrated that, he's not getting maybe the same instruction as he was in the off season, which he feels like is the right instruction, and you just have this jumbled mess. So I think trying to avoid that by communicating is the best way to handle that.
I like that. Casey, I think one of the coolest parts about your job is, you
being a Yankee.
Besides that, is being able to work with some of these young guys. Take Clint Frazier and Tyler Wade, for instance. They go up and they get sent down. That could be very discouraging. But to see them grind and sit down with them and be like, this is what we can work on. Mm-hmm. Let's work hard, and to see them get their second opportunity and be up there a lot longer than what they were last. I just think that'd be so cool to, like, to put work in with someone and see them succeed. Like, I don't know, like, that's just what I was thinking.
Yeah, no, that's always, man, seeing like the fruit of somebody's labor, come to fruition is always a joy. I think finding joy in the labor sometimes is the hard part, but you have to, because a lot of times it's going to be a lot longer than maybe some other guys. Yeah. Where some guys, maybe they come down, go back up, they start having success, and it's quick. Where other guys, they're up, down, up, down, up, down. It's this back and forth battle, and if there is no joy in the labor, and all you care about is the fruit and the results, and that's the only place you find joy, then this game can be miserable.
That's true.
And so I think getting guys to understand that side of it as well, and is a huge part of that battle. And as a coach, that is your battle. Every day's labor. Obviously there's the wins and the success of the players, but just when one player's having success, or when 10 players are having success, there's still 3, that probably aren't. Yeah. So like it's now like, all right, now how do we get these 10 to sustain success? And then how do we get these other 3 to maximize their potential? So you just always have this going, and if you're only satisfied when, everybody's hitting 350 and you're winning every game, then it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. So
Well, Casey, I'm one of those armchair coaches now. I sit at the TV and I like to yell at it when I see things, and
Really
that drive me
annoying.
nuts.
It's really annoying.
The shift has totally, I think, ruined baseball. It takes a lot of hits away from players. How hard is it on you guys, the hitting coaches, to teach guys to hit opposite field or bunt or do things like that?
So, yeah,
Man, it's tough.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it's tough. The shift is tough, and it's one of those things to where obviously there's a lot of guys on both sides that are arguing why it should stay and why it should go. And
Do you think it should go?
I'm on the fence about it. Like as a hitting coach, it's like, yeah, it should go. Obviously, we'd have more production. But like the baseball coach in me that believes in winning, at a high level,
Yep.
and wants to win at a high level, and the strategy of the game and the football mindset in me is also, thinking about like, all right, so guys just can't run a 3-4, like they have to have 4, down linemen all the time on the defensive side. Like if nobody's done that in football, so why in baseball do we have to stop guys from playing a defense that prevents guys from having success?
It's true.
Yeah.
If a guy's going to line up in a spread offense and, we can't run, any type of, nickel or dime packages because of that, then, how do we stop it?
Yeah.
How do you stop it? How do you control it? And so I think that's kind of where baseballs went. And, there's a lot of guys like, well, you shouldn't be able to do that. And it's like, well, why shouldn't you? They're just playing defense.
Yep.
They're going to have to do something different. When guys stack the box, you throw the football. Like it's simple. So when guys shift one side of the field, you either got to hit it harder, you got to hit it the other way, or you got to hit it over the fence. Like there's options there. You just have to, you got to figure out how to do them. And game. So I do I think it would create more offense? Absolutely, I do. But am I completely against it? I don't know if I'm there either.
Yeah,
so
it's tough.
I'm kind of on the fence with it.
It's tough.
Now, Casey, you're around the AAA team all the time. Do you? And I don't want you to mention any names, but do you see any stars down there that could be coming up soon to help the Yankees out? Who the Yankees this year are struggling to drive in runs and steal bases, and we're hitting into a lot of double plays. Do you see somebody that could be coming up to give us a spark?
I think there's a lot of guys right now in Scranton that do a lot of things well. And, I'm obviously biased to a lot of those guys just because I get to see it on an everyday basis.
Yeah.
But a lot of it's unproven at that level. So do I believe that they could, help and be productive at that level? Yeah, I do. But also, do I believe in the guys that are in New York? And do I believe if any of those guys, played AAA, that they would dominate? Yeah, absolutely, I would.
It's a good way to look at
those
it.
Those are some of the best hitters in the world in that lineup. It's a lineup full of them, and so I'm optimistic that in two ways. I'm optimistic in that the offense in New York is capable of being the best offense in the league.
Oh, absolutely,
and
I agree with
I'm
that.
excited to watch them in the second half because I think once they get going, there's no offense in baseball that's going to be feared as much as they are.
Love to hear it.
And then I'm optimistic about our guys in Scranton. I'm optimistic that if anything was to happen and those guys were to get opportunities in New York, I think there's definitely a core group of guys that are ready for that opportunity, and they prepare every day for if that opportunity was to come. So yeah, I'm optimistic on both ends, man. We're fortunate to be in a great organization that has a lot of depth and has a lot of good players.
It's true.
So we'll see what happens, and I think there's been a lot of signs lately in New York of the offense really getting going, and,
Yep,
and there's
I agree
there's a lot of time left, and it doesn't take long, man, for guys to get going and tear it up, and there's no scarier team in baseball than the Yankees.
Well,
they do.
The second half of the season after the All-Star break, the Yankees have a tough schedule. They got Boston for 7 games, and they got the Phillies and Tampa Bay. But yesterday was an amazing day, and it was the start of a lot of baseball players' dreams. It was the MLB draft. Thousands of kids are going to get drafted. What do you think of the Yankees' first selection, Trey Sweeney? I mean, a 6'4", 200-pound kid, that a lefty of all things that we need. What do you think of a kid like that with power?
I like Sweeney a lot, man. I had, I'd heard his name a lot going into the draft. I knew we were interested. I spent time. I played at Western Kentucky.
Yep.
And then obviously coached it at Indiana, who's recruits a lot in that Louisville area. So Sweeney's a Louisville kid. He's from Louisville. Ended up at Eastern Illinois. He's out of St. X, I believe. Private school there in Louisville, and following his career, just playing in the Midwest. I've seen the production, and you look at a body like that, an athlete like that. That's played shortstop at a high level, but I think has the versatility to go play a lot of different positions.
Yep.
And a power bat with, 6'3" and physical and can run.
Huge.
Geez, man. I'm pumped.
He batted 382 last year with 52 runs, 65 hits, 10 doubles, 14 home runs, 58 RBIs this year already.
Wow.
Kid's amazing.
Yeah. He's a good one. I'm excited. Obviously, last year's draft and free agent signing was the first one I was really kind of in the know on, and knew a lot of the guys, and
that's really cool. That's cool.
And was able to kind of see, and now getting to watch all those guys here, it's like a lot of those guys have been tearing it up, and I think we got a great process going on where we got an incredible group of scouts, and then obviously front office, and then a player development department who has been able to communicate with those guys too, and so we've been able to kind of bridge that and say, here's kind of the guys, here's the list of guys we got, and here's what we do well from a player development side, and how do these guys fit, and you start to match, really mix and match those together, and just mesh from an organizational standpoint. And I think you got an opportunity to really do special things, and I've seen that in my time here, and it's really neat to be a part of. So I'm excited to get this group with our coaches in the minor leagues and get to work.
Now, Casey, what determines where a kid like this, Sweeney, or a kid like Jason Dominguez, what determines where they go as far as their baseball career? Like what level?
A lot of different factors. A lot of it is like the current personnel. There's a lot of different contract things that go into that I don't know all the details or wouldn't be confident of speaking on. So I'm not real sure of everything that goes into it. I would expect, both of those guys at some point throughout this year to, be in the, the lower levels and have a chance to work their way up as the, year continues over the next few months. So I'm not really sure on all the details of that.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Casey. Before we go, I just have to ask you, I heard you say you're a big football fan. I'm curious, what's your team?
I'm a Cowboys fan, man, through and through.
Oh my God, we could do a whole nother podcast. How long you driving for, Casey?
I got about an hour and a half. I don't know if that's enough time.
I am a huge Cowboys fan. Tyler is a huge Saints fan, and we butt heads all the time.
Okay, we'll have to have you on another time.
I already put a hot take out there. I said if the Cowboys have a top 10 defense, we are going to the NFC Championship game.
Settle down.
Completely agree, and I think the personnel looks like it's got a shot.
Absolutely.
But obviously I'm biased. I said that last year too. No, man, I think the last couple drafts have been good, and I like the core group they got. If they can stay healthy, obviously it's going to be a huge part of it. But no, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I grew up in Tennessee, so. I was there when the Oilers originally came to town. I grew up in Nashville, and then obviously the Titans now, and so I followed them pretty heavily. But my dad's from Fort Worth, Dallas area. My whole family on both sides are Cowboys fans.
Oh, so, this is amazing. You just made my night.
I had a Troy Aikman or Emmitt Smith or Deion Sanders jersey on from the time I was 4 or 5 years old. So
Casey, I was enjoying this podcast, man. And,
he's going to edit this part out. You're going to hear, who's your favorite team? You're going to hear Saints.
Well, Casey, if you're ever down by the
I
Iron,
think you guys just cut. I think you guys cut out on me.
we were just talking about
I
how
s-
we're disappointed you're a Dallas fan.
I
That's what
said
I'm
he's
saying.
going to edit that part out. You're going to hear your comment, and it's going to be Saints instead of Cowboys.
No, I am. I will say, Alvin Kamara and Drew Brees, man. I like both those guys a lot.
Too bad he
so-
retired, man. It's gonna be it's gonna be different.
I know.
Look, I'm
It
going to
is
be
gonna be
honest. The Cowboys have never had a true defensive tackle, one technique D tackle ever in the longest time. Now we got a couple fat boys in the middle. Oh, I'm telling you, I'm
We'll
so
see what
excited
happens
about
when
the
you come
Cowboys
back to
season.
when you come back to the dome,
You got to
we'll see
build the
what
wall,
happens.
man. You
Okay.
got to build the wall. You got to stop the run. If you can stop the run, you got a shot. So we'll
We're
see.
going to have you back on so we can talk Cowboys football.
Okay, just let me know. Let me know. I'll be ready.
Hey,
Well,
Casey, it's,
before we let you go, Casey, who are you liking tonight in the Home Run Derby?
Oh man, shoot.
I picked the next Yankee, Joey Gallo.
He's been hot lately. I think that's a safe pick just with the easy power.
I think the ball's going to fly tonight. Coors Field.
It's absolutely going to fly. It is absolutely going to fly. I'm disappointed because I'm on the road. I'm not going to get there. But the bright side is I think I will make it to the hotel before the celebrity softball game. I think the celebrity softball game's at 10. And if there's one sporting event that I could ever choose to be in, that's it. So maybe there's a shot. Maybe there's a shot one day. I'm a big softball guy in the off season. So.
And maybe you'll make it to the Yankees Old Timers Day at Yankee Stadium.
That's right. Maybe we'll see.
Hey, but Casey, if you ever come and play Iron Pigs again, we'll have to come down and get a photo with you and see you
Throw it
play.
on our
Please do.
page.
Please do. Yeah. Holler at me, man. I'd love to.
Yeah.
That's a good atmosphere there. So, and I think we go there at least once,
right.
one more time this year. So please do.
Absolutely.
Well, hey, we wish you nothing but the best. We hope the Yankees and everyone turns it around and we can all celebrate another World Series. And I hope you have a safe trip all the way up to Massachusetts.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on here.
No
Hey,
problem,
anytime.
Casey.
Thank
Drive
you.
safe, man. Have a good one.
All right. See you guys.
Oh, that was such amazing.
That was-
Such an amazing interview.
That was Casey Dykes, AAA Yankees hitting coach.
Cowboys fan.
Yeah, there's that.
No, the thing, like...
That was cool information, though, because we haven't had a baseball coach on.
Yeah,
yet,
we've
besides that
never-
independent league guy.
Yeah, and I love the fact that we can actually get into the mindset of what it's like being a coach up at the major leagues, basically.
That's cool.
You know, we're not the only ones that hate the shift.
Yeah. Well, the home run derby's on, so we're going to cut this here, boys. And girls, if there's girls watching. But we hope you guys enjoy this. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Check them all out. We hope you guys have a good rest of the week. We got another interview tomorrow.
Another
So we'll
baseball
be,
week this week, man.
yeah,
We got another baseball interview tomorrow.
So we'll be back on tomorrow.
Everyone have a great night.